I bought a new camera, a medium format camera, as you might know from the title, which means that it's time for another installment of monthly favorites. This is one of my favorite things here on the channel to talk about. Is just some cool photography related accessories, whether it be cameras, film, books, or anything related to the medium of photo. This is my third installment of monthly favorites, and before we get started, I figured that I should mention that at the end of this video, I will be doing a giveaway for my zine, America's Playground. This thing is sold out online. Thank you to everybody who bought one, but I will be giving away a couple copies of this for people to win who weren't able to purchase one. So if that is something you're interested in, make sure you watch until the end of the video. But without further ado, let's get into some photography favorites. I'm gonna start off with the thing that's probably least photography related and work my way up from there. The first thing on this month's list is an Edward Hopper book. For the three people who aren't familiar with Edward Hopper, he's a painter, but he has a very photographic, painterly style. And I think he was one of the first general artists that I was introduced to when I was starting out taking photos. Everything from the color in his paintings to the compositions are very photographic, and he's definitely a big inspiration for myself and other photographers included. His paintings are incredible. They often are just empty scenes, or they have subtle people in them who aren't necessarily supposed to be anybody specific. They just stand in as a figure. What he taught me about photography is that sometimes it isn't all about subject. A photo can just be about a feeling that you get from it, and I think that that's the most essential principle to understand with the work of Edward Hopper. It's all about how his paintings make you feel. He sometimes just has very minimal subjects, like it'll be a barn or a water tower or something simple, but they make you feel a certain way. They're very calming to look at, and the colors are always beautiful in his work. So if you're getting into photography and need some inspiration, definitely check out Edward Hopper. I also briefly want to talk about this publishing company because they make affordable art books, and I think that's really cool. Their name is Taschen. I have no idea how to pronounce that, but they make art affordable to consume, and I think that's really awesome. So check out the Hopper book and some other ones. I'm gonna get on to something more interesting. This is a camera. This is not my new medium format camera, but this is a new Polaroid camera that I got. I didn't actually buy this. It was gifted to me by my very good friend Wesley Verhoeven, who I made a Photo Talks episode on. And if you don't know what the Polaroid SX70 is, it's essentially like the benchmark for Polaroid cameras. It has this really beautiful folding design, and the whole camera just folds out from this flat metal slab, which actually fits in your pocket, which I think is pretty incredible. The two things that I love about this camera, which makes me keep shooting with it, is the fact that it has manual focus, which is really cool on a Polaroid camera, and also you compose with the viewfinder through the lens. This is not a rangefinder Polaroid camera like the 1-Step 2, which is quite popular right now. You actually can very meticulously compose your photo on a Polaroid, which I think is really cool. That's why I keep coming back to this thing. It shoots SX70 film, which is a special film designed for this specific style of camera. And aside from that, there's not much to say. It has a beautiful design and it works really well. The exposure is always super on point, and I love that it folds down like that. It's super satisfying. I have shot a couple Polaroids with this camera on a recent shoot with hip hop artist. I talked about this in my Hasselblad video, and there will be a full video coming on this shoot, but for now I thought I'd show you the Polaroids, which were all taken on the SX70. These weren't really the primary focus of the shoot. I just whipped out the SX70 midway through. It was really cool to have a Polaroid on set because I could snap a couple photos with this SX70, and both the artist who is in the photos, the stylist, and the hair and makeup artist could get a sense of what we were working with, because it's one thing to look at what you're photographing, but to see an actual 2D rendering of it on Polaroid film is a whole different thing. So it was really cool to have this SX70. There will be a full video coming from this shoot in the future, so be on the lookout for that. Yeah, great camera. Shout out to Wesley for giving me this camera. Okay, the next thing might seem a little bit strange at first, but I promise this thing has helped me out a ton with my photography. It's a SANDISK SSD. None of this is sponsored, by the way. I do have affiliate links in the description if you want to check those out. They do help support the channel if you buy stuff through there. But this SANDISK SSD is what I use to edit all of my photos off of. I'm in this office space now, so I needed a way to edit photography between my home laptop and my computer in the office here. SSDs are extremely fast and they work really well for editing your photography off of. So it means that I can have my files on here while I'm editing them on 2 separate computers. And the speed of this thing is definitely fast enough to keep up with those photography editing needs. I'll show you. Before I was using one of these Western Digital hard drives, and these things are slower. They take a long time to speed up. And because they have an actual moving disk inside, the risk of one of these breaking on you is way higher than a solid state drive which has no moving parts. These things are also super expensive to get repaired, and these generally don't break. It's also waterproof and dust proof, which is really cool. So if you're one of those people who edits photography on the go or between different places, I highly recommend checking out. Not even necessarily SanDisk, just any USB SSD is a game changer for editing photography on the go. Okay, the next thing is the new medium format camera that I bought. It's a Mamiya 6. I have reasons as to why I bought this camera, obviously, as opposed to any other. I'm keeping my RZ67. I thought that this would be the perfect accompanying camera to the RZ67 for a bunch of different reasons. First of all, it's a different format. It's a square format camera. I didn't want to buy a Mamiya 7 because I already have a camera that shoots 6.7 format. So if I got another 6.7 camera, it would kind of feel repetitive, and I feel like I just don't need another 6.7 camera. But then also the Mamiya 6 is a rangefinder camera and it's super compact. This actually has a folding lens, which the Mamiya 7 does not have. So this folds down even more compact, and I think that's really cool for having it by your side. You really don't need the lens extended, and then when you want to go take a photo, you just extend that lens, and that's a really cool thing to have. I'm gonna be traveling a lot this summer, so I wanted a camera that was easier to take around with me than something like the RZ67, because that's quite a heavy camera. The last time I traveled with my RZ67, I really did not like the photos I took with it, and I think that is for a large part because of how heavy and annoying that thing is to carry around. This camera I can have with me at any time for a medium format camera. It's super light, and I'm really excited to make more videos with this as well in the future. I wanted to go with medium format to travel with just because that's my preferred format. If I could shoot large format in a way that was portable, I would, but medium format 6x6 is a great aspect ratio, and I have some really cool projects in mind that I want to shoot on square format. This camera feels really well designed. It has a nice weight to it, but it's not too heavy. Mechanically, it also operates really nicely. It has a really nice opening back that's super easy to load. What I like about this thing is that you can load it without actually having to set down the camera. With my Mamiya RZ67, I have to open it up and actually take out a tray to load. Here, the film loads right into the camera, and I think that's a huge advantage when you're traveling. Also, it's got a lovely dark slide that actually protects the lens when you're loading the film, which I think is really cool. And it just releases with this plate at the bottom. I think this is a really cool camera. I'm super excited to shoot with it and make more videos with it. If people are interested in a review on it, then that's something I'll consider doing. But for now, I'm gonna get on to the next thing on this month's list. And it's actually an accessory for the Mamiya 6. Wow, Willem, a strap, very exciting. I don't know why, but I've been looking for a wide strap of this format for a while now, and I think that this one made by DSPTCH is perfect for what I need. I've used some camera straps in the past that either look way too technical or they're way too thin and they're just not comfortable, but this strap is nice and wide, and I think they've made a good balance between a nice looking strap but also one that's very functional. It has buckle releases if you want to take this thing off your camera, and it was around 40 bucks, which I think is not too bad for a good camera strap. I'm actually gonna throw this thing on my Mamiya, and that looks lovely. Throw it right across your chest like that. Boom, walk around with the Mamiya. Catch me around New York. If you see me, say what up. I think a wider camera strap is always better. It's just gonna have less pressure on your body, and this one looks really cool, which is why I bought it. I should mention that I bought this Mamiya because I found a good deal on it across the road at K&M. I don't know how long I'm gonna own this camera for. I'm gonna shoot with it for a while because I've been wanting to try this camera for a long time now. What I love about film cameras is that they hold their value. So if you buy a camera on eBay or in a store, likely in a couple months or longer, you'll be able to sell it for the same price, if not more money. Let me take this off. Yeah, that's the Mamiya 6 and the DSPTCH strap. I have one last thing on this month's list, which is actually a literature book. It's a book you have to read. It's not a photo book.
Not just in books like these.
But this book, Camera Lucida by Roland Barthes, is a book I read while I was in college. It's a really old book. It's a really difficult read, but I would say that a good part of conceptual photography theory that I know came from this book. If you're looking to get a little bit more educated about photography and what makes a good photograph, I highly recommend you give this a read. You might have to give it 2 or 3 reads like I did, because there's so much good information in here, but it's really complicated. It's really hard to try and explain simply the concepts that Roland Barthes talks about in this book. This is not necessarily about the rule of thirds or color theory. It's about the very basis of what makes a conceptually good photograph, and I think that's really valuable to have as a photographer. Like I said, this book is pretty complicated, but it's well worth the read, and that's why it's on this month's list. Also, I should mention that it's included this month because I've been going back and reading it again just to try and refresh myself on some of those concepts that he talks about. Like this video if you liked it, and like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I will be giving away a couple copies of my zine America's Playground, which is currently sold out. So if you didn't get a chance to get your hands on this, now is your time. All you have to do to win a copy is follow me on Instagram and drop a comment down below and put your Instagram handle you're at the end of the comment. I'll pick a couple people from the comments to win a zine. This giveaway is international, so feel free to enter from wherever you are in the world. When I pick a winner, I'll go to your Instagram, I'll DM you through there. If it says follow back on that little button, then I'll know you're following me. And yeah, I hope it goes to some people who enjoy the zine. My Instagram is @WillemVerb if you're not already following. That's it for now. Peace.